Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Mouse's Pals podcast with myself, Daryl, Jamie, and James. How are we doing, fellas?
Good, thank you.
I'm still not James' impression, I have to admit.
Yeah, it's a great impression, but you can't quite get the like and subscribe bit unless you listen properly. But
it's the K's. It's the K's. You can't do Donald with a cut.
But it is very good. No Steve with us today. Steve's busy this week. And this is it's not a bonus episode, it's just a normal episode, but we'll be discussing totally different to what we started last week, the series that we started last week of the Renaissance period parks. How we doing, fellas? All good?
Yeah, lockdown vibes, proper lockdown vibes.
Bad, isn't it? It's just killing me, honestly. And I'm working full time again, but I'm bored out of my life.
I was actually thinking about this. The last lockdown was about 2.5 months until like July, weren't it? Because you had April, May. Sorry, about 3 months.
Yeah.
For us, it was like November, December was basically a lockdown, and now January. It's been the same sort of time.
The difference is, like, we had about 2 weeks where we could go out in December. Not even that really, about a week.
But you couldn't do much.
No, the difference is, at the end of March through to July, the weather was lovely. Apart from about 2 weeks, the weather was bang on. Like
you could leave your house, couldn't you? Go and sit in your garden.
Yeah, this is painful. And during that November lockdown, where we were still in sort of, or when we were in the tiers, you could still go out and play football and stuff like that. Now you can't do anything, and it's a pain. Yeah. It's a right pain. But let's discuss some Disney stuff to try and cheer us up a little bit. So on today's podcast, we're doing a new segment. First of all, there's quite a bit to talk about. A few different areas. Then we're going to discuss, as all three of us are fully up to date with WandaVision, we'll be discussing WandaVision with spoilers because it won't go out till Monday. And if people don't watch it by then we'll sort of let them know early on and they can move on past that segment. And in the last segment, we're going to talk Mandalorian and the future of Star Wars. So should we get cracking?
Yes, sounds good.
Well, first bit of news, we'll go with a big bit to start off with. And this come out, I think, some point last week. Disney quietly removes movies featuring racist stereotypes from Disney Plus kid profiles. So I'll just read a little bit of the... I won't read too much of the article that I've got here, but I'll just read a little bit. Back in November 2019, Disney took a tentative step towards addressing its problematic past by slapping a mild content warning on some of its classics. The warning, which appeared within the descriptions of certain productions on the Disney Plus streamer platform, warned users of outdated cultural depictions in those movies. Now the company appears to have taken a much more substantial step towards reshaping its image for the next generation by altogether removing several of these titles from the platform's kids' profiles. The movies that have been pulled from the profiles that indicate the viewer is 7 years old or younger include Peter Pan, The Aristocats, Lady and the Tramp, Dumbo, The Jungle Book, and live-action Swiss Family Robinson. Jamie, give me your thoughts on that.
So I can imagine that the one from the Peter... So I haven't watched most of them films, but I can kind of gauge where most of them are from.
I like how they've got Redskins.
The Redskins, obviously. Aristocats is the Chinese
Asian cat. Yeah.
Dumbo,
the crows, and there's slave tones in there apparently somewhere. Jungle Book, I believe would be the. I don't know really the Jungle Book,
but the thing is, I get what they're doing. They're trying to protect people, but at least they've not just removed it. At least they've not just entirely removed it from their content book. Obviously, you look at stuff like Song of the South, where there's a totally different argument. None of us have ever seen it, so we can't ever pass judgment on how the stereotypes in that show are. It's just sad, but in the modern day that we live in, where this is a real big move, I totally understand why they've done this. It's just, it came out of nowhere almost. Like, just it felt like overnight they just put this removed from under sevens, but I didn't even know they had the kids section on Disney Plus.
James, I'll come to your thoughts on it, and then I'll go back to something I've got to say. What's your thoughts on it all?
I'm just thinking, where's it going to stop? Like, I know what Jamie's saying with the whole. I didn't realise it was a kids section. I thought Disney Plus was completely universal.
That's what
And I thought the reason Star was coming was for an older, mature audience. So it's kind of confusing that they're doing this. I'm not surprised. I don't really have an opinion on it. In terms of like, it's not gonna, it's no skin off my nose, but I do think it's a little bit petty now. It's just like, where does it? I'm wondering how much other things. It's the start of like a bandwagon now.
That's my problem with it, James, and you're pretty much bang on. I understand why, and I agree with the reasoning, but that's it's history. Like you can't change history. Do you know what I mean? That's what it is. Disney made those mistakes going forward. A lot of them are not meant in the way that they're made out to be. They're cartoons. Like the Redskins, they're depicting the Indians. Like how else you meant to draw them? Take them out the film altogether. Same as the cat from Aristocats. He's that type of cat. Like what you meant to do? Okay, the wording that he sings, yes. There's Asian, like it is Asian tones and stuff like that. And
the Aristocats one for me is, I've not seen the Aristocats in ages, but the Aristocats one is very bad. I can kind of understand the Aristocats.
I don't, because that's the type of cat.
But do you know what, Jamie? So what, they're going to just get rid of Frollo now from Hunchback? Are they going to get rid of Frollo? And I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying, like, that's how ridiculous it's getting now.
I think I also will put this isn't just a Disney thing. A lot of companies, a lot of things, like me and Daryl love our NFL. A team that is in the league, their name of their team said Redskins, and they had to change them because of the generate. Look, we live in a times where a lot of stuff from the old and has to be updated.
Snowflake.
The problem is, though, you've still got to teach people as well. Like for me, Song of the South, we'll never see it on Disney Plus. It's coming out of the parks. We know that. But there is a real teaching aspect there to it as well, to what it was like back then. And I'm not agreeing with it, because I'm not agreeing with it. But that's how it was. And the Uncle Remus books are a very famous set of books that still get read to this day. Very good kids' books with Brer Rabbit and Brer Bear. And very quickly, they are going to be forgotten about in Disney lore, which is a shame, because that ride, once that ride goes, no one's going to remember it.
No, I think the ride will be remembered in terms of the Disney fandom will carry the
plus of people that have read it and love it and remember it. The next generation onwards that have never done it, it'll be gone. It's not the same because of obviously the legacy, but you look at stuff like, James has turned into a ghost. He's now the Mandalorian. You look at stuff like Horizons at Epcot, which was replaced. The legacy's still great, but honestly, I don't think if you spoke to massive non-Disney fans, people will remember Horizon. Jamie's frozen, but he's bang on. It's a shame. As I said, I agree with what they're doing, and I understand the reasoning behind what they're doing, but it's just there's a lot of really good Disney product there that people are going to miss out on, and it's a shame.
Pretty much.
Yeah, it is a real shame. While Jamie's sort of frozen, and I think his internet's dropped out again, James, we'll move on to the next bit of news, and something me and you are big fans of, and very big fans of in the past. The Mighty Ducks remake. We had a new trailer come out this morning, I believe. Did you watch it?
I haven't watched the trailer yet. No.
It looks fantastic.
Does it?
It looks fantastic. You get to see a lot more of Lauren Graham, a lot more of Emilio Estevez as their characters. You don't really get to see a lot of the kids this time round.
There we go. Look at that background. Look at that background.
But it's fantastic. We got a release date for the end of March.
Leave Jamie off. He's here, but leave him off.
I believe it's the end of March, around about March 26th, I believe, is the release date for that. I can't wait for that. I think that's going to be a real good Disney Plus series, because
Yeah,
we've obviously had Mandalorian now and WandaVision, which are both original Star Wars and Marvel series, and now we've got an original Disney Plus TV series, which I think it's got a potential to be really, really good.
I think so too. Like, I do think. I think with the Duck series is that they've got something they can sort of like. It's a show of it's a film of its time. Like it's got that very 90s feel to it. Let's bring Jamie in. It's got that very 90s feel to it. And I think when they've made this show, they've really honoured that. And that sort of kind of comes across. And I think if they'd have tried to go modern, it wouldn't feel like the Mighty Ducks. So I'm glad they've gone with the decision they've made.
I was just going to say, I'm happy I dropped out when I am, because I've got no real comments on this. Still not seen it.
So the new trailer looked really good. And I think as soon as they brought Emilio Estevez back as Gordon Bombay, people are going to flock to it. People like me and you, James and Steve, that sort of generation of fans of those films are going to absolutely flock to that TV series. And Jay, to be honest, Jay, I think you'll love it.
I'll definitely get round to watching it eventually. I've got nothing else to do in lockdown. It's just sometimes
all three films on Disney Plus at the moment as well.
Do we know
D2 and D3.
Do we know how long the episodes are meant to be? Has they said anything?
The only rumor I heard, which was a while ago, they're going to be about 40-minute episodes, but that was a while ago.
I can't see him like with the nature of the film and the show. It's weird, but I just can't see him being an hour.
They're not going to be an hour. I can't see him being 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's not much. I think every episode's going to have a different opponent in, maybe, or something. I'm wondering if it's going to go like the Cobra Kai route, where it's not quite. But it's not quite like that. It's a bit more. You get a bit more of a backstory. There's a bit more to it, or it's going to go with, you're following this kid's journey through the league towards playoffs or something like that.
We obviously know that the Mighty Ducks themselves are potentially the bad guys this time around. I think we've seen that. I like the fact that we really don't know much about it. That's a big plus. I'm a little bit gutted they haven't remade the films into a series.
Yeah.
Because that'd have been brilliant with new actors and stuff like that. But I can't wait to see it. So it comes out in the next couple of months. That'd be really good. Jamie, give me another bit of news that we've got in the last couple of weeks.
It's actually been a busy news week for Disney, which I don't think anyone had really.
Well, we haven't said that for a good year. And Jamie's cut out again. We're having a bad time with Jamie here today. One of the other bits of news that definitely come up was Star. So Disney Plus again have added. So you've got on Disney Plus, you've got Disney Plus, Marvel, Star Wars. Is it National Geographic they've got on there as well?
There's quite a few bits on that Disney Star, isn't there? I know that the Die Hard 2's on there, which is really random.
So they're adding a new so with National Geographic, they're adding Disney Star, or it's just called Star, which gets introduced on the 23rd of Feb. I believe if you are already a subscription holder of Disney Plus, the price won't change until August, and it will go up from $5.99, I believe, to $7.99. We know that it obviously releases on the 23rd of Feb, and it's more, as you said earlier on, more of an adult side of this product. There's a lot of Fox movies on now because obviously Disney have acquired Fox. I think it could be really good, and it should really, really add to a very good streaming service already.
I'm back. Unfortunately, I've given up with my laptop.
We told you that at the beginning. So glad we get listened to now.
I don't listen to normally. I was talking to my mum about this, and it's a great ad. I think it is, because as you said, it's $7.99 a month or £80 for the year. But it would have been good, my mum said, they kept the option of maybe not extending it. Because I actually looked through the full list of stuff that's going to come in it. And maybe outside some of the movies, I'm not interested in many of the TV shows. I'm not interested in like Grey's Anatomy. I'm not interested in Atlanta. Like the films, like
again, I think that's maybe an age thing again, Jay. And that's no offense to you, but like Grey's Anatomy to me really, I've wanted to watch it for a long time, and that does apply to me. 24 is one of the best programs I've watched. 24 is incredible, and that is all on them.
And Lost is on now. I'm so happy
we're not too sure. We're not too sure on Lost.
Gonna say, ain't the ending of Lost terrible? I've never seen it.
No. Oh, Jamie, please give it a try. You can't fault it until you've seen. At least you watched.
I got through the first series and was like,
first series is superb.
I don't think I'll.
I don't know how you can't want to watch more after the first season finale. It's like ridiculous.
The main thing I'm actually interested that's coming is the Planet of the Apes films, because I think
I love them as well.
They're the best thing coming to it, and Deadpool too. But outside of that, I'm really clutching at straws.
Remember, Jay, though, this is only the start of it.
Oh yeah.
So there'll be a lot more coming. They're not going to dump all their best stuff on it straight away. Fox has got so many titles. We know that Disney's only going to acquire more stuff in the future. Look, it's going to be great, and I actually can't wait to get on it, because I know there's quite a few bits on there that will they sort of overconnect with Netflix and Amazon Prime. But if it's all on one streaming site, I ain't got to switch between anything then. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's a very good thing, and I'm sure me and you, Jay, will carry on what we're doing and get that as well.
Oh, I'll be renewing my subscription.
Yes.
I was going to kind of say it with Wandavision and Mandalorian, but for £40 a year or whatever the price is, just getting stuff like Loki, Wandavision, Marvel Originals, Star Wars Originals, all the originals are just worth every penny, because I look at all of them and I know I'm going to watch them.
You look at it, all right, we're paying, say, James, you've got the subscription just with Emma, I believe, yeah? So it is £80 for yourself. Me and Jamie share a subscription. But they're putting all these originals on, and they're like cinematic. They're proper putting the money into. They're not just rubbish TV programs we're getting. We are getting top drawer.
WandaVision's the most expensive TV show ever made.
We're getting top drawer TV programs. Do you know what I mean? Like, and we can all generally say Mandalorian as a Star Wars thing, and we all love Star Wars. Is right up there with everything Star Wars, and that's what we get from streaming site. So we can't complain too much about the price of that. Any other news, Jay?
So the other big part of news is, the first one is, Florida has actually offered to host the Olympics this year. So everyone knows there's the current pandemic going on around the world, and there's a lot of rumours that Tokyo might not be able to host it. They're debating it at the moment. The rumour is that if Tokyo says we can't host this, Florida, the state, is going to come in and offer to host the Olympics, and Disney's going to play a big part in this, because you saw it. The NBA had the bubble back around, I can't remember the time of year,
at the end of last year, December time, November, December,
where they hosted all of the players, and they didn't have an outbreak. They showed that they're capable of hosting quite a few number of players. Obviously, with the Olympics, it's a lot more large scale. That's why the state of Florida is getting involved. But this doesn't just look like it's something that's been thrown out. Apparently, let me get it up. So sorry if
while you find that, I think it's a great idea. I think it's an absolutely fantastic idea. If Tokyo can't take it, because everything that they need, pretty much, apart maybe a proper Olympic swimming pool, can be found in the wide world of sports, pretty much.
I'd imagine they have something like that. Also, in the state of Florida, the CEO has actually come out and apparently suggested this idea. So there's universal support for this.
There's enough hotels as well.
I've got a question.
Go on.
I was going to say, they will probably need to isolate, and they would need to. They wouldn't be able to go outside, because the risk of contamination would be huge.
But that's why it's called. That's why it's a bubble. They'll bubble it up. It'll be the same thing. You'll be in your room for most of the time. You'll train. You'll eat just in that canteen or whatever they called it. The basketball teams had had their sort of own floor of a hotel, and they'd go down at specific times. Obviously, as Jay said, it's a much larger scale. There's so many countries and so many people. The only better thing for these guys, it's only going to be a month long. Well, it's not even that. I think the Olympics last about 2 weeks. I might have to be there a week beforehand. And then if they do the Paralympics, it'll just be another bubble on top. So it'll be a bigger scale, but in a smaller time frame, which I think will work perfectly.
The main thing is Disney has shown they can do this. There's evidence to prove it can be done. It's just if it can be scaled up in Florida. But as you said, Disney can't host this all because how many Olympic sports are there? Rowing, literally gymnastics. That's why I have to say Florida's going to get involved. So this ain't going to all be on Disney. Like they can have bubbles in Jacksonville, they can have bubbles in Tampa, they can have bubbles in Gateville. There's loads they can do. So, but
the only problem is they'll have to decide very soon because that is a big organisational problem. They're going to have to get that sorted.
The thing is, Disney have just organised. I don't think there's been a massive outbreak at a Disney park in terms of COVID. They've dealt with it superbly well.
When you look at a lot of the YouTube vlogs and stuff, and you look at the different parks, Disney have got it down to a T what they do. Anyone can mask off, gets talked to, and then if there's a couple of problems, out you go.
Even
Universal got better when they first opened. You see a lot of people with masks and stuff dancing with Busch Gardens, but now all the parks seem to have it down to a T because they know while they're open, all that money's coming in.
I don't think they're going to shut anytime soon, and that's just because. Who says I need to listen, James?
That's been on there for ages.
Yeah.
It's been up there for about 20 minutes.
Yeah, I'm listening. I just don't read. But I think this is good. Look, how realistic it is, I do not know, but it'd be interesting to see.
Yes, it will. It will be very interesting. Last bit of news I believe we've got is about the Jungle Cruise.
I'm excited about this.
This is now official. So there has been a lot of rumours that Jungle Cruise is going to go through an amendment, going to be changed. It's been around for a couple of years now, but Imagineers have now finally come out and confirmed. Sorry if I've gone off camera really quickly, but it's now official. Jungle Cruise, both at Walt Disney World and Disneyland, is going to be having an details are very slim at the moment, but I can read you what Kevin Lively, Disney Imagineer and former Jungle skipper, has said. As part of this story update, we'll get to follow a skipper and his passengers as their journey goes awry. That's right. For the first time ever, the skipper role will not only be that of a live, experienced and witty guide, but also represented by a show figure within the attraction itself. In fact, the expedition will be up a tree. Literally. After their sunken boat spills apart and chimps board the wreckage with monkey business ensuing. But that's not even half of the whole story. Fans of the Jungle Cruise attraction may recall some boats that used to make their way around the river, but haven't been seen for a while, specifically the Mekong Maiden and the Coango Cape. Ever wonder what happened to them? Well, you might go ape when you find out. Ultimately, the jungle gets the laugh. I wasn't so sure about this until I read that. And I actually thought this is probably going to link into the movie that's coming out very soon.
That's exactly what I was about to ask. Does it link in with the new live action Disney film?
James?
I think that they've updated the some of the attractions. They've brought in a few things. I don't really know much about the film, so I couldn't even tell. I couldn't say. I don't know where they go in the film.
I think it's kind of, what's the word? It's not convenient that the film's coming out soon and they've announced this, is it? Would you say?
No.
Again, they're not going to touch this until next year at the earliest. So we'll obviously know a lot more about it.
It would make sense that they will, though, because look what Jack Sparrow, Pirates of the Caribbean did with Jack Sparrow when they brought him into the.
Are they massively hoping for this film to be big? Now, it's got the potential because it's obviously got The Rock and Emily Blunt. But if they change it to the film,
there they are.
If they change it to the film and the film is a flop, it could really ruin the ride. So I don't. You can't tell. Obviously, we'll know more once
It
the
will
film
not
comes
ruin
out
that
later
ride.
this year. Once the film comes out later this year, we'll know more about it. But it's definitely interesting. I'm looking forward to it.
I just hope IP. I hope they don't feature characters like The Rock and Emily Blunt in it. I would still like it to be a character about the jungle animals.
Yeah.
I don't want this to be like you're following what they do. I literally want this to be an adventure through the jungle. Because let's be honest, I don't think anyone really dislikes this ride. It's amazing as it is. So it's a dangerous thing what they're amending.
Yeah, no, definitely, I agree. Let's go to a break and we'll come back and start talking WandaVision. Right. WandaVision.
Yeah.
So we are now 4 episodes through the first original Disney Plus Marvel series, which now intertwines with the MCU WandaVision. James, I'm going to come to you first. Because obviously all 3 of us have discussed it via group chat. Now, obviously, we've all seen the 4th episode today. Just your thoughts on the show itself and where we're up to now. Don't give too many spoilers away yet, because we'll go more into details as you go. But just your thoughts on the show and your opinions on it for you personally.
Okay. Started off, I didn't quite get it. I didn't know what I was supposed to be trying to take in. I didn't know whether I was trying to take this serious. Are they being themselves, or we've just got to pretend that it's not Wanda and Vision, that they're superheroes and they're just normal people in this, and the superhero stuff is like in another universe. This is just something completely different in like a parallel one. I was trying to get my head around this. Then because it started off with a 50s theme, didn't it? And the sitcom, the laughing, and the quirkiness of it, I really liked. I liked the way she was always, she held herself with her little hands, and the way she acted, like her accent, and all the different things. Their relationship was really was really funny, back and forwards. But I actually didn't get the laughter. I know the soundtrack, the laughter and canned laughter, and the soundtrack was part of the 50s vibe. But I found that it was in the wrong places for me, and that I know probably wasn't what they were going for, but in my head that was confused at the time, I'm thinking, this isn't funny. Why is it it's not even funny in the slightest? Why are they laughing at anything? Like,
normally your joke.
Like, oh, hello. And it was just like laughing, canned laughter. And it was just a bit too much. Now, if they took a little bit of it away, I think I would have got on board a lot quicker. Second episode, I did find more amusing when they were trying to work that show between them, and he kept using, his powers without going into spoilers, obviously. And then she was trying to cover it up, which I thought was quite funny. Episode 3, I think, when it changed out of the black and white and it got into a less sitcom, is when it got me a bit more on board. I found it a bit more relative because my wife's currently pregnant, and I found that episode really, really funny. The way Wanda was and how they deal with it, and we got introduced to, what's her name? The African American lady.
We got introduced to her a lot before then.
But I mean, she started to come like
Geraldine. We know her only as Geraldine at that point.
Yeah, she started. And at this point, Wanda was getting very, very suspicious of her. Like, who is this person? And then by episode 4 is what I thought we were getting in the first place. I guess without ruining it, it kind of is something. It's a bit more closely related to the Marvel we know.
Leave it there because we're going to come into spoilers as we go. Jamie, look, me and you, we're not experts in Marvel. We no offense to you, James, we're a little bit more clued up than yourself, and obviously Steve, because of what we're like with Marvel, but then it's the same for you with Jurassic and stuff like that. It's just something that we both really love. Neither of us have read the comic books, but we know quite a lot of stuff about it. So I think for me and you, Jamie, it took on a lot more relevance, a lot quicker.
I knew
James.
I knew going into it kind of details. I knew going into it was going for a sitcom-y vibe, but I knew there was going to be serious things to it.
I think that's why I was kind of saying this before. I get why people didn't like it. Because if you don't like 50s, 60s, and 70s sitcoms, you're not going to enjoy the first few episodes, ultimately. They're not really Marvel episodes. They're just sitcoms with Marvel characters. This last episode, though, game changer. It shows you every Easter egg you saw between episodes 1 and 3 was explained in episode 4. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, you've got to think, right? Technically, this is, say, it's a Disney Plus series, TV series, but they're still trying to take it as the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So if really you're in a film sort of basin, okay, then first episodes, you're an hour into it with a storyline, and then bang, it's telling you what's going on.
Do you also feel sorry for them? Because this is also the first Marvel thing.
I think it's brilliant how they've done it as the first one.
Because let's be honest, a safer bet would have been, I don't know because we don't know what's coming up, but Loki would have been a safer bet releasing first.
The safest bet would have been Winter Soldier and Falcon, because that is where our story ends in Endgame with Falcon getting the shield.
Yeah,
that's the safest bet of the lot.
It's almost like the equivalent of Far From Home. So it carries on, don't it?
That had been the perfect way. But I think what they've done, and it did, that Twitter, Facebook, whatever it was, after that first episode, was so mixed in feelings and thoughts of that episode. And people are like, I hate it, I'm not going to bother. It's the first episode, like, you've got to deal with it, because you know you're going to get answers somewhere down the line, and we've got answers, but we haven't got every answer yet. And I really, the more we go into this, obviously 3 episodes that have gone, we won't go into too much detail because they are older episodes and people have now watched them, but we'll talk little bits from them that are important. The episode today is massive. And I really want to delve into that episode in a little bit.
So I'll quickly add, there was so many people I saw, like I know people who literally went, the first episode's trash, I'm not watching it more. And I've literally just looked at them and I now sit there and go, episode 1 isn't what you need from Marvel. You need to give it a chance. If after 4 episodes you're still not enjoying it, I can kind of sit there and go, okay, this maybe is not for you. But I think episode 4 is that point of, this is now making it an MCU show. You need to realise.
Do you know what? I can't believe Emma called it. Like, I was kind of I wasn't sure what to sort of go. I was more with the feeling that it could be like a parallel universe, but the fact that she called that with the whole TV show and they're sort of acting in it and they're part of it, I was just like, whoa.
James, they are setting up the multiverse, so I'm not writing out that it.
No, I'm not writing anything off yet, because it said we'll come back to that again in a minute, because that's a big part of today's episode. The thing I like about it most, and people are still seeing it, James, as you said earlier on, it's a sitcom. There's laughter. There's a little bit of comedy. It's not a comedy. It's not a comedy. It's not meant to be a comedy. They're setting it up, and it is a horror. That's what it is. Because we also know that Doctor Strange and the Multiverse is going to be a horror film.
I would argue
setting it right up.
The first 3 episodes are set up to be funny. I would argue.
Yeah, but there's dark tones in it. That's the whole point. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, and I agree with you, that they're putting in the laughter, they're putting in the comedy to set it up, because it is a sitcom. We know what them 70s and 60s sitcoms are like. They're meant to be funny, but there's dark tones in it that make you start thinking, hang on a minute, like the beekeeper in episode 2, the bit where the bloke's choking in episode 1, the helicopter, stuff like this. You start to see things where they're going in 3 episodes. And it really kicks off in this episode with the vision of Vision, pardon the pun, where he's dead. Because we know that he's dead. We see him die in Infinity War. He wasn't just a blip with a finger. He's dead. So the question is, why is Vision back? And we don't know that.
I also will say, spoiler, I love the start to episode 4 before the Marvel thing. Because
let's talk episode 4. Let's really delve into episode 4.
Because I think we've kind of found this pod at a good time because episode 4, I've not seen a bad review yet. It's been the turning point.
It's because it's what people expect.
I don't think it's what people expect because we knew it was going to be a sitcom. It come out already. It was going to be a sitcom.
It's what I expected.
I think a lot of people expected it to be kind of sitcom-y with MCU. This has kind of been different to what I expected. I expected it to be sitcom but links, but this is kind of just a mystery film, a show. It is a mystery.
It's very paranormal. I like the paranormal-y feeling to it.
This episode we've just got. So the last thing we saw was Wanda giving birth in episode 3, and then clocking on to Geraldine.
Yeah,
I can't think her actual name in this episode, but we'll go on to her because she is from past films as well.
Monica
Rambo.
She's Captain Maria Russo's daughter.
Yeah. We see her helping Wanda, and it's people starting to clock on. Vision clocks on that she's not right with help of neighbours, and then Wanda clocks on she's not right because she's got on a necklace that is Sword, and Sword plays a massive part in episode 4, and obviously a massive part in the comic books and stuff going back. Now we actually start the episode where Endgame sort of finishes with people coming back to life after the click, which I think that probably my favourite bit of the episode, to be honest.
I just thought it was because, let's be honest, we know the snap happens and we see all the characters come to help, but we never see the reaction. Let's be honest, if that was real life and we saw half the population just float back to life, it's actually...
That was one of my favourite scenes in that hospital.
Yeah. She was confused. As far as she was concerned, she was asleep for 20 minutes. And as far as in reality, she was dead 5 years. And you see that, and it was brilliant. It was brilliant.
Because the only sort of thing we see of people coming back in Endgame is when Hawkeye gets the phone call.
Yeah.
And obviously that's the only thing we sort of see. And then all the next thing we see is all the characters back together.
Spider-Man kind of shows it, but not by much. Oh, good news. Not Disney related, but I'll leave it.
Okay. Yeah, so we find that out, and Monica's mum died, who obviously plays a massive part in Captain America. Not Captain America, Captain Marvel, sorry. She's Captain Marvel's best friend as a youngster growing up. Did you clock on the wording that Monica hears in the very start of the episode? What she gets called?
No, I won't. I didn't clock.
Lieutenant Trouble, which is what Carol Danvers calls her.
No.
I don't know. I don't know if this plays a part, but I think out of us three, you're the biggest Captain Marvel fan. So I
am the biggest Captain Marvel fan.
I don't know. I like Captain Marvel.
Daryl loves Captain.
I'm a big fan of old Carol. I'm a Brie fan as well.
As Monica returns to the real world after being blipped, you can hear some familiar voices echoing in her head, specifically Captain Marvel, affectionately calling her by her childhood nickname, Lieutenant Trouble.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's the first part. And then we obviously find out that Maria Rambo died from cancer 3 years earlier during the snap. So that's the first part. Then the next thing we see is SWORD, the headquarters of SWORD. And it stands for Sentient Weapon Observation Response Division, as opposed to its Marvel Comics definition, where the SW stands for Sentient World. More ammunition for the theory that Wanda is being observed by SWORD because she is the one causing Westview's anomalies. We don't know about Wanda at that point, but we know that she goes to SWORD. And we also find out that her mum, is it Maria? Was the head. She was the head of SWORD, and that's part of the legacy. That's that done. Now we get to a really, really good bit that I like. That we get to Westview, and we meet Agent Wu again.
Yeah, my favourite part is when he done the card trick. That was seeing Ant-Man and the Wasp, Paul Rudd's character, Scott Lang, literally does a card trick. I loved it.
I thought that was great. Great to have him back. I wasn't expecting him back at all.
I knew,
and then
but I didn't know when.
Right, okay. And then we see the biggest thing, which is where we really kick off the episode properly. Monica goes with a drone to try and see what's happening in Westview because no one seems to know what's going on, which we already sort of clocked onto anyway. And the drone goes into that force field. And then she goes in and she's obviously in there. And that's what we know. That's the only really thing we see of Westview at that point of the episode. At that point, what are you two thinking has gone on?
Firstly, I will say it explained a lot of stuff. Like, do you remember in episode 3 where the Doctor couldn't go on holiday?
Yes.
That it just explains so much. Like, at this point, I'm doing a lot of maths in my head, and a lot of it is making sense to me now. I'm hitting the right equations, I'm hitting the right formulas, and it all seemed to, like, at first my mind was going off in many different ways. Like, is this the multiverse? What is this? Like, is this actually just a TV show? And then it now feels streamlined that we are going towards one total goal. It feels now this show has got a thing to build upon, and I just don't know where it's leading. I'm excited to see it. Are we going to see more sitcom episodes like 1, 2, and 3? Or are we going to be seeing kind of episode 4 vibes? I can't tell.
I think if we do, I hope we don't see whole episodes of sitcom again, because I feel like the majority of the people people have gotten a bit more back on board with it.
We know it's 9 episodes long, right?
I reckon we will get bits and bobs that we haven't seen, but through a sitcom sort of TV, and you're supposed to take it in the background, sort of thing. You know,
potentially, but also if you go back to trailers, there's a lot we haven't seen yet from their life in Westview. So I think we might get the next episode could be similar to this one. Then we'll get 6, 7, 8 back as sitcoms, or we even get 5, 6, 7 as sitcoms, and we'll have 2 more sort of episodes like today. That's what I'm going to go with. But
I think the excitement's now just ramped up, though. Like, as much as I was enjoying the show, I wasn't excited for Friday or Wandavision. Next Friday now, I'm excited for Wandavision.
It's like Mandalorian's back all over again. I'm buzzing for Friday.
Like, Mandalorian literally was the highlight of my Fridays during lockdown. It was, I'm not excited for the weekend. I'm excited to watch Mandalorian that Friday night or that Friday day.
You're not excited for the mighty West Ham at the weekend?
No.
I think it just was. It's now, and this is what Disney Plus has done well. It's just, and we are straight into Loki and the Winter Soldier. I
was at buzzing for it today. I watched on my lunch break. I went and sat on my own and watched on my lunch break.
Not gonna lie, I had forgotten that it aired until you said, Daryl. Have you watched it yet?
Because at that first, when I put a message into the group chat, I was like, watching Wandavision, all you got to know is first 5 minutes. Like, and I said, like, yeah, great, can't wait. And that was the reason I said that was one of my favourite actresses from things we've watched before turns up. And she's obviously plays a massive part in MCU in old 4 films.
I know why you like it, Daryl.
I don't know.
I'm not going to say it here, but she's fantastic. She's a great actress, Kat Dennings, and she's brilliant in this. Pardon?
I thought quite annoying in the 4 films, but in this, I actually think she's done quite well.
Completely agree. Yeah,
she's the best character in this episode.
Yeah, she's good in this episode. I hate her in Thor: Dark World.
She's got such a dry humour about her as an actress. She plays it perfectly.
See, I like dry sense of humour. That's why I like Carol Danvers in as Marvel, because I think she's got a real dry sense of humour. But I don't know. Maybe it was just the person she was with.
Because we've watched that 2 Broke Girls that she was in. Years ago. She's brilliant in it. She's just a very, very good actress. Very funny. And she obviously comes in, and I'll read the bit out that I've got here. So fan favourite supporting character from 4 and 4 The Dark World, Darcy Lewis has made a return and she's now a doctor of astrophysics, following Jane's footsteps. She was the one watching the show in episode 1, taking notes in her sword notebook. She also discovered the signal for the broadcast, though there's still questions about why the sitcom theme seems to be running through decades, even though she's definitely having fun watching. That's the next thing we find out. Now we find out it is a sitcom. She finds out that there's some radiation somewhere, and there's a signal coming through this radiation that she finds. She works out. She gets a TV. She even says it's got to be an old TV. And if you clock on, there's TVs from different generations for all 3 episodes.
Mm.
So she has to play each different episode through a different TV.
So I'm suggesting that. So obviously we've done the 50s, 60s, 70s. Surely they do 80s, 90s, zeros? Would you?
Yeah.
Noughties?
The noughties.
Potentially. So potentially the last one's watched on a flat screen.
And possibly the most up-to-date sort of look of them.
If we get some friends, then you know I'm going to love it.
Potentially. That is very potential that it could be a Friends-based episode. I wouldn't know what the 80s or the noughties would be, but it's very potentially there.
I went live during those times.
Because they were talking about it being Full House. Because obviously, I don't know. I remember reading. I don't know if they're going to do an episode on it because Elizabeth Olsen's sisters were stars of Full House. Mary Kate and Ashley. So that could potentially be something that happens in the future. At this point, again, of the episode, we have no idea where we're going. We know that it's a sitcom. Obviously, Darcy's found that out. Dr. Wu's helping her out. They try and send a signal to her, which they do get, but they don't understand that they get. And then they don't clock on to the sort of twitching of what's happening with Wanda. That she'll hear something, then it'll go back to it before, and she won't recognise what's going on.
I think that's her choosing not to hear it, though. That's
exactly. But we also know that they said it. Someone's manipulating the show itself. So that's where I come back to you, James. And obviously Emma said it's all Wanda. And Monica comes out and says it's all Wanda. But there's something else going on.
I'm just throwing it out there. That's where I think we get our first X-Men link. Personally, because obviously, if you read the comics, Wanda's father is Magneto. I say father because he's not really her father. I think we might get an X-Men link here. I really, really do.
It wouldn't surprise me because we also have seen the House of M, which we know is linked to the X-Men as well.
Yeah.
I'm just going to take it as I see it.
Which is fair enough.
I don't really care about the thought of that. So just.
But that's something that we look forward to seeing in the future. I've listened to a lot of people say sort of similar things. That is definitely a route we could be going down. There's a villain that keeps popping up in things that I read as well that could potentially play a part, and they call him the Devil. And his name begins with an M, and I can't pronounce it. I can't remember what it was.
You got Catherine Harkness. No,
yeah. Because in the comics, and this is something that I've heard and listened to. I've not read them myself, and so don't play it as hearsay as gospel fact. But the villain they're talking about, so Wanda has 2 kids. She has twins, and then apparently the villain called the Devil, it begins with an M. I can't pronounce the name. Actually, takes Wanda's kids off of her and devours them to become stronger. That is something that is really dark, and that's something that potentially could happen going forward. So that's something I look forward to. That's pretty much the episode, really. Obviously, with Geraldine, Monica getting thrown back out, and she says it at the end that it's all Wanda, which is where we are right now.
Do we actually believe that? Yeah. Also, Mephisto is the devil.
That's the one.
I personally think that's where I kind of say X-Men. I think there's somebody controlling Wanda, or I think there's a bigger power playing in this, because as strong as Wanda is, how is someone like Paul Bettany's character returns?
If it's just Wanda, where do we get to the multiverse?
I don't know. This is the thing. I've got as much as my answers have kind of been done with this question, I've got so many questions about where this leaves the MCU going forward. But that's good because it makes me so excited about what's to come.
Because really, once we hit sort of phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, once we hit Avengers, we sort of knew where it was leading eventually.
Yeah, after Avengers, the first Avengers, we knew that the big bad was Thanos. They were building for Thanos. Right now, we're back at where phase 1 was. We do not know anything. And there's a lot more streams of media and stuff now that we don't know what's going on.
It's interesting.
Just got to take it as it comes, isn't you?
It's very interesting.
It's just on Fridays, turn on his TV and be like, oh.
We're gonna move on from WandaVision.
Should we go for a break?
James can get a bit more involved in this one because obviously we're going to now talk about the Mandalorian. It is Steve. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, not bad.
Steve has.
Yeah. Good, mate. Good. Steve's on a walk. I'm not going to say what he's doing because we are on YouTube. Right, Mandalorian. Or do you want to say something, Steve, before we talk Mandalorian?
Sorry, what's that?
It doesn't matter. Let's talk Mando. Mandalorian.
I've seen most of it.
Yeah?
I am watching it a second time.
Excellent. And what's your thoughts on season 2?
Much better than season 1.
Do we all agree?
Yeah. That ending to Mandalorian. Oh my God.
I've got a real problem with that.
I do.
A real problem. But we'll come. Are you staying with us for the rest of the episode, Steve?
No. I just wanted to pop in,
Chime in.
tell you my thoughts, and leave.
Shove his beard and then go.
Excellent. Excellent. While we're here, Steve, you've not yet watched WandaVision, have you?
No.
Are you looking forward to actually watching it? I know you're not the biggest of Marvel fans.
Not really.
No, fair enough.
Right.
It's great, isn't it? It's great. Steve's here, and he just don't care.
No. I've got to put my mask on.
And there we go.
There he is. Has he got his mask on?
For those of you on a podcast, Steve is literally walking through a shop, just with a mask on. He's just joined us for no real reason.
Yeah.
Let's we'll move on to the Mandalorian properly. Do you guys, Jamie and James, do you agree with Steve that season 2 is better than season 1?
Easily.
Yeah, I think so. There's enough in it that makes me think outside of what I'm watching. I feel like with the Mandalorian season 1, I was so invested in, okay, who is this guy? What is he doing? What's his journey? But season 2 is kind of, you've got all these characters already established, so you got to try and while you know who these characters are, you're also trying to work out, okay, what path are they on? How do they connect to the Mandalorian? What are they doing with Grogu? And then we've got characters come in from the Clone Wars and Rebels, which we're all big fans of as Ahsoka. Now, Steve, not being the biggest extended universe of Star Wars fans, didn't know Ahsoka when she came into the show. But I believed you watched the episode, Steve.
Yeah.
So what did you think of the episode that she was in?
I thought that episode was really, really good, but not the best episode of the season by far.
Agreed. I think
I disagree.
Look, I'm going to say the last episode is basically an absolutely perfect cinematic, TV-matic mask. No, Dal, I'm not going to agree with you on this one.
Whether his opinion, I'm not going to say he's wrong with his opinion because I know what he's going to say, and a little tiny of me does agree.
Can I?
But when you're saying about the cinematic, Jamie, completely agree.
So the thing I love about season 2 for me is season 1 builds up this relationship between Grogu and Din Djarin. Let's be honest. Outside of, there's no extended universe. There's no links to old TV shows. The season 1 is literally all about building up these two characters. There's hints and stuff, but it's the sole focus is on these characters. Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni literally went, before we get all those people in, like that love people like Ahsoka, or why has her name left me? Who's
Bo-Katan.
Bo-Katan.
Oh, right.
They literally sat there and went, let's make sure people care about Grogu and Din Djarin. And in season 2, they notice people love them, and then they can go, let's go and give them a little bit of fan love. Let's feed the fans a little bit of Luke Skywalker. Boba Fett. They built up enough reputation for those characters that even when those characters showed up, you didn't feel like they were there to make people love the show and the episode. I already cared that much about Din Djarin and Grogu that they just added to it. It felt just value, a little bit of it literally just felt like the topping on top of a very, very good cake. And my God, it's probably the best cake I've ever eaten.
I agree with what you've all said. As you say, season one's brilliant because we've not seen that from Star Wars before. That's why season 1's so good. But season 2, you bang on, smash it out the park for me because of what you've just said. Yeah, we get that. We still get that relationship between Mando and Grogu, but we get to meet these, as James said, we get to meet these people that we know and love already. Boba Fett, we know, we know and love from the films, especially people that have seen Clone Wars and Rebels. Ahsoka's I'm a massive fan of hers, and I know a lot of people, that's one of their favourite characters. To see her in live action just adds to that. Same as Bo-Katan, just that whole build up perfect, and the fact that Dave Filoni directed the Ahsoka episode just smashed it even more for me because he's the one that made her as a character. I have problems with the last episode, and I'll come on to that in a little while. But as a whole, the Moff Gideon stuff, the dark saber at the end,
the Dark Troopers,
the
temple bit.
All of it is perfect, and they couldn't have played this series much better.
I will say the early part of the series wasn't. From episode 3 onwards, it's good. Episode 1 is good. Episode 2 is bad. Episode 2 is not good.
But we said it's the same as series 1. There was an episode in there that it took me about 3 weeks to watch. There was always going to be one bad episode at least, and it's just a story filler.
You're never going to get complete series with absolute bliss episodes. Like you're not going to get them.
Forget the last episode. What is your favourite episode other than the last one?
Oh, are we talking just from series 2?
Just from series 2, yeah.
Oh, now you're making me think.
I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you in a second. For the pair of you two, where does Mando go from here?
Easy.
Don't answer that because we've not spoke the last series.
Can I actually just say what my favourite episode is? Because I know what it is. Outside the last, it's episode 6, the Robert Rodriguez episode with Boba Fett. The Boba Fett episode. It's about 30 minutes long, and it's literally the connection on the temple because it didn't feel long. It was fast paced. The whole episode. Action is absolutely amazing. The biggest issue people have had with The Mandalorian, it's literally like you're playing a video game. And it's like, oh, go and help this person. They'll tell you to go help this person. But that episode kind of was like, Ahsoka went, oh yeah, you need to go and get here. And you were like, oh, he's going to have to stop off on another planet. No, it just went straight there. He runs into Boba Fett. I just think the episode was perfect. Episode 6 for me was pretty perfect. I think episode 6 is one of the best episodes of Mandalorian ever.
Fair enough. Steve, have you got yours?
Yeah, I was trying to think. I really liked when they met all the other Mandalorians.
Episode
I think
3.
that's
Yeah,
was that
I
episode
really
3.
liked that.
Bo-Katan,
Yeah.
Yeah, really liked that ship scene when they're trying to take it over.
Hmm.
Yeah, because at that point they were pretty much. It really could have been both. Both could have been dead and buried. Could have been the
Yeah.
end of Mando like that. 12 episodes. See you later. We're done. Never
See you
to be
later.
seen or heard of again. But Bo-Katan comes in, and that's where you bang on. That's where the series really starts, and we start to connect things to where the season ends. Really,
Hmm.
James, what's your favourite episode?
Tough call. I actually think the first episode was pretty bloody good. It was just too long. 10 minutes short, I'd probably been up there with probably my favourite episodes. I liked the one where they had to take the cargo, the explosive stuff, and Bill Murr, is it his name?
Episode 7.
Yeah, the comedian guy that I think I like his character. His character's really likable. And I like the fact that they had to sneak in there. He questions Mando about his helmet. So what is the deal with your helmet? Can you not show your face? Can you show your face? Is it just the helmet you can't take off? All that sort of stuff. And I like the dialogue there. Go on, Jamie. Go on, you're desperate. Go on.
Episode 7, you've literally nailed it. That's why episode 7 is great. It introduced why, let's be honest, before that, Mandalorian was like, nope, I follow rules, I follow ABC. That was the episode where Bill Burr's character is exploring him. It's like, everything's not just a set of rules. People mix up. And that's where you first see Mandalorian go, my ideology of being a Mandalorian is not worth the same as Grogu.
Yeah.
And he shows that. Mandalorian at the start of season 1 would not have taken off his helmet to save Grogu.
That's a good segue there, Jamie, actually.
That is
Grogu,
why
the name.
I almost said episode 7. Episode 7, when I first watched it, was so on me. But episode 7 ever since has grown on me just because of what he'd done for the character of Din Djarin. It really, really developed the character massively.
You're all wrong, by the way.
You're going to say Osaka because you love Osaka.
The best episode was Ahsoka's episode, The Jedi. Of course it was.
No, it isn't.
It is.
No. It's decent.
I did really like that episode though. I would actually just flip a coin to say it probably was. I hate to agree. I think I do. I think it bar the last one, it was the most movie worthy.
And it was the one that we're all buzzing for.
It reminded me, like I said, it reminded me of the scene in Jurassic World at the end where they're hunting the Indominus Rex and the Indominus sends the Velociraptors back onto the ACU guys and they're being like stalked and hunted. And that bit where Mando and Ahsoka is there on her own, all these guys are like so there's no music, it's just dead silent. Like it's really claustrophobic. It's really, really good cinematic, cinematography.
Yeah, I agree. Brilliant.
Can I also say, Moff Gideon is incredible. Seriously incredible.
Could he be up there? Obviously, we know what Darth Vader's like, and we all love Vader. Is he right up there with probably the best Star Wars villain?
Top 5.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I think he's right up there. Because Kylo, can we call Kylo a villain?
Kylo's a villain.
Yeah, I like him. I think Kylo Ren's character is superb.
Yeah, but he's not really a villain at the end.
Darth Vader, because you could say that about Vader.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can't say that. You can't say that. They're the same arc.
Yeah, but Vader
you
goes
can't say
further.
you can't say they're the same arc.
The thing for me is, what I loved about Moff Gideon was, even when he lost in the last episode, you still see him trying to break that balance that Bo-Katan and Mandalorian had. You could still see him there trying to create tension. It reminded me of the Emperor. The Emperor was someone who didn't use power. His thing was, I'm going to use my words. I'm going to make you break. And at that moment, when he was trying to get Bo-Katan to and the Mandalorian was like, "You've got to defeat him in battle," it reminded me of the Emperor. I honestly thought Moff Gideon was brilliant. He was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very good.
Right.
Right, let's discuss.
Quickly jump
Steve.
in because I've got to shoot now. Season 2, like I said, far better than season 1, and the ending to season 2 was just incredible. 9 out of 10. Obviously, the bits that let it down was the CGI on Luke.
That is it.
Yeah. Awful.
That's all I can say.
Now leave before
Fair
Daryl
enough.
blasphemings.
Yeah.
Are you back joining us full time next week?
Yeah.
Excellent. We are doing Rescuers Down Under next week, I believe.
Yes.
I still need to watch it.
No, mate, honestly, if you see my ride and restaurant ideas, I find it so easy.
Right, so next
yeah,
week,
I
James
reckon-
is on a podcast on his own. It's just a
I was going
one-man
to say
show
solo
next week.
podcast.
I was going to say that we're all going to have the same ride idea because I've got one that's going to be amazing.
If we've not all got one same idea, which just I've not seen that being so, but one thing comes to mind. We've not got one idea the same.
Yeah.
We'll soon see.
Yeah.
All right.
Right,
Cheers
I'll
for
leave
joining
it
us,
to you
mate.
guys.
Shout out,
Yeah.
Steve. Bye, mate.
See you later,
Bye.
Steve. Bye-bye.
Okay, let's talk episode 9. Now we discussed this as a free in detail a lot on group chats and in person and stuff like that. Now, as Steve said and Jamie said, that we see Luke come back. Luke comes back and saves the day because Ahsoka said to Mando, "Get Grogu to sit on the temple." And hopefully a Jedi comes and saves him. And the biggest thing was which Jedi's coming. It could have been Luke. It could have been Ezra. It could have been Mace Windu. The Jedi from
Kanan.
No, Kanan's dead.
I was going to say.
Jedi from what's
name's
the game?
Fallen Order. I know what you're on about.
I can't remember his name. But you've got those. You had those.
Cow.
Yeah.
I thought, and this is just obviously my opinion, I thought it being Luke was the easy way out.
I disagree entirely. Just short answer. So
I
James,
agree. I know where you're going with it, and I agree what you're saying. The timeline fits for Luke. I agree with that. But wait, because now they've come out with an Ahsoka show, live action show. I understand why they've not picked Ezra because we know where that's going. Okay. But Luke's the easy way out. But we've finished the Skywalker saga. The Skywalker saga was finished. We got told that after episode 9, Skywalker saga's done. Okay. And I've also heard rumors that Rey's coming back at some point in the future as well.
I hate her.
It's great, but we didn't need Luke for this episode. Everyone loved Mando already. We did not need Luke.
Oh, no, we don't. We don't need Luke. But do we really see Luke be a Jedi? Do we really see it? You think Empire is training?
But he's not even he's not a Jedi.
Return of the Jedi, the whole time, is just going after Darth Vader to try and convince him not to be a baddie.
That's the genius, though, of Empire Strikes Back. It shows an immature person who is not a Jedi. He goes off, told by Jedis, you shouldn't go. And
we don't actually see it. Yeah, we don't actually see Luke be a Jedi. And be
in the Last Jedi, we do.
Yeah, but not as much as
I don't think we do, because they kill him. They ruin. I'm sorry, Last Jedi ruins Luke. It's the worst. It's the biggest crime they actually do.
I think he means a return. Did you mean Return of the Jedi or Last Jedi?
No, they ruined Luke in Last Jedi.
No, I'm talking Daryl, I meant.
No, I meant Last Jedi. When he's fighting Kylo, it's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Yeah, but this is before then. I'm talking about the reason why they brought him in now.
You're
jumping ahead. I'm thinking up until that trilogy finishes, the middle one, the originals, I think when you compare the amount of Jedi-ness, I've started a new word there.
It does say in the film, though, that the 6 is Return of the Jedi.
Yes, I know, but you don't. Right, compare Luke's Jedi on screen being Jedi-ness. Compare that to Obi-Wan and Anakin's from the prequels. It's like night and
You've
day.
also got to think the era that it was filmed, the CGI in it as well. The stunts are probably better at that in the newer films.
But this is probably why they brought him in now, because we're going to see that.
What are they going to do with him now, though, James?
I don't know.
No, look, can I just say, if I see any more Luke in any more Star Wars, I will be annoyed. I actually think this was perfect. And the thing I think it's perfect was, going back to my point, is season 1 sets up these characters superbly that in season 2 they can give fan service. They give us an Osaka show, which, okay, Osaka's great in it, but it's setting up another show. But no one gives a damn because they've set up the 2 characters that carry that show so well. They set up Bo-Katan.
So
but the thing for Luke,
going forward, okay, they've brought Luke in.
No, Luke's gone. We never see Luke again.
Does that mean we never see Grogu again?
No, we never see. We might see Grogu.
We
again.
do. We're going to see Darth Grogu.
No, we're not.
That program will lose a hell of a lot of viewers if we don't see what happens to Grogu.
I think we will. I think we will
The
see
thing for me
Grogu.
is, I do not want to see Luke again. I think this. If we never see Luke again, this is done perfectly.
If you're going on timeline and what we know goes on,
He dies.
Grogu gets killed.
That's brilliant to hear, I must say.
That's what we know. We're set up for Grogu to go get dead.
But I will say, if we never see Grogu,
Go and get dead.
He's gone to get dead, mate.
Go and get
I
dead.
trust Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau to go, okay, Grogu's very popular, but the show doesn't get carried by Grogu.
They are not. They've set him up to be one of the strongest Force beings.
No, because Luke's still the strongest Force being of all time.
And they're going to bring him in to be like, oh yeah, we've set you up for 2 seasons. You're going to be amazing. You're like the new Yoda. Bang, gone to get dead.
I don't actually think they do, no doubt. At no point in the show do they suggest that Grogu is the strongest Jedi at any point.
No,
they set him up as a Force user.
I didn't say that. But they set him up to be a very strong Force being at that point because of what he does. And we know that like Yoda's strong, and we see what he does. They're not gonna. Then we're not gonna see him again. So that means we see Luke again.
No, because
I think you two have been talking back and forth. So just none of you ain't got a clue either. Anyway, so stop. You're arguing with each other over something you neither of you know.
My point is that's why I didn't hate CGI Luke. As bad as the CGI is, I preferred it being CGI because if I'd seen an actor like who's the geezer that plays the Winter Soldier? I can't remember his name.
I can't think either, but I know you're on about that guy. That's it.
If they'd hhired another actor, I would have hated it because I thought it was a perfect little 5-minute addition that added to Luke's character.
But
it made Luke
they should have done it better.
The rumours going around is, the rumours are going around that there will be a series with Luke in it, and Sebastian Stan will play Luke.
I would hate it. I think they should leave Luke alone. They ruined Luke in the sequels. Leave Luke ruined. This show kind of revived him. I don't want him touched again. The sequels ruined Luke. I'm sorry.
I don't want to see Luke anymore. But then I don't think they finish it there with Grogu and Luke.
I thought it was a perfect ending, though. It made total sense for me, the show ending. That series ending, because now season 3 can build upon Mandalorian taking on Mandalore.
Okay, that's a good segue. So where do we see Mandalorian going?
Mandalore. I think it's going to be the focus of Bo-Katan, him trying to take back Mandalore, because it's mentioned.
I really want to see Sabine.
We will see Sabine, but not in this.
She's in the Kenobi series, ain't she? She's actually been officially cast in the Kenobi series.
Ain't she? Who's the actress that's playing it?
No. IMDb.
That one bloody quiet.
In IMDb, I saw something on TikTok earlier. Actually,
I'll have a look.
That the actress that voices, I can't say her name, in the Clone Wars, is returning for this show. It's
Well,
on
the actress
IMDb.
that voices Sabine, that'd be quality. That'd be perfect.
Yeah.
She's a perfect casting.
And it makes
Where
no sense.
did you see that, Jamie?
It was on TikTok, but it was on IMDb.
But I can't see. To be fair, it fits in the timeline of Kenobi perfectly. But then I also think we'll see her mainly in Ahsoka because of Ezra.
But ain't she, Sabine's
Because
dead?
it's a different story. It'll be a different storyline. Nah, Sabine's not dead. The last thing we see of Sabine is Sabine goes off with Ahsoka to find Ezra because obviously Kanan dies, and then Hera does Hera. We don't know much about Hera from there on out. But she can fit in with the Kenobi series. But does that mean we see more of the Rebel gang? Because that's around about that time, potentially.
I hope so. I'd love that.
Because that's why we could that way we could potentially get a live action Hera and a live action Kanan.
I don't think they'll do that. The thing I will say, if they keep doing characters with live action, the live action shows they're doing are kind of on the bigger characters. Like Ahsoka, let's be honest, is one of the biggest Star Wars characters. If Yoda is a big Star Wars character, Obi-Wan, like Ahsoka can carry another show because there's a lot of timeline that can carry her. She'd be the lead in those shows.
Yeah, it annoyed. I did read that they decided because of the love for Ahsoka in that episode, they decided to go with a live action Ahsoka series over a live action Rebel series, which kind of gutted me in a way because Rebels is probably my favourite part of Star Wars. But Ahsoka, as she was, and Rosario Dawson played her perfectly. We know we're gonna get what's his name? The blue geezer. James, what's his name?
Grandad Bill Thorne.
Grandad Thrawn. We're gonna. That's gonna be a big thing because she's already asking where Thrawn is. So we're gonna see Thrawn. We're gonna see Ezra because Ezra and Thrawn are off together. Sabine's gonna play a part. We know that that's coming. So
I got confused. Sabine ain't announced. It's Satine.
She's not. I say she's not on the cast list. I just had a look.
Yeah, Satine announced. So Satine, who is the love interest of Obi-Wan, is returning. Which isn't
that?
That's Bo-Katan's sister.
Bo-Katan's sister. That's it. Yeah, Satine. Yeah. So Sabine will be cast in Ahsoka.
Sorry, I got my words confused.
Yeah, I'm positive. So
I think the ultimate thing is season 2 was an absolute home run. And I'll sit there and go, as someone who hates the sequels, I think the sequels done a lot more damage to Star Wars than it actually done good. This really,
right? And this is something that me and you will row about, and we'll row about over and over again at different times because we've both got different feelings of it. Yes, I agree that they weren't made the best in the world. They weren't the best, right? But we said probably before the sequel started, and I know for a fact that we've said it, that I do love a row, James, you're right. We said that the prequels were terrible, but now we've got a different love for the prequels. So in 10 years' time, we might have a different love for these sequels again. Yes, they're great, but we always said the prequels weren't great.
I think the problem a lot of people had with the prequels was it was just a bad made movie. It weren't ruining the Star Wars not legacy, but what Star Wars was
ruining the Star Wars legacy.
No, I think the biggest issue I have with the sequels is it doesn't come across like they had a real plan. And if there was a real plan, it was.
We know that because of the shit. Yeah. I'm gonna swear the shit show of directors. Yeah. Sorry for swearing.
And the thing is, in The Last Jedi, I actually love how they suggest that anyone can be a Jedi. I had no problem with Rian Johnson making Rey a nobody. If anything, I love that she was a nobody that came from. Because let's be honest, Anakin was
Luke, though.
No, but Luke Anakin, yes, Luke, no.
Anakin was a nobody. I had no problem with Rey being a nobody. It's just Star Wars fans wanting someone to be related. I hate it. The biggest issue I have.
Oh yeah, of course.
The biggest issues I have with the sequel is how they make Luke not think the Jedi. The reason Luke is the most strong Jedi in the world is he took his training, he he takes what Anakin is, but actually builds upon the Jedi. He doesn't turn to the dark side. He believes in the Force. He believes in the Jedi. Luke would not turn that negative and against the Jedi. If you watch the sequel, the originals, Luke would never do that. And that's what I hated. For me, that's my personal thoughts.
I think that's a very small bit you're taking up on. That it's
But even
years
if you watch
down the line, he knows that he doesn't want that to happen again with Kylo. I understand his head goes. I think that's such a small part for you to say, all three films are terrible films for one small part.
The first film ain't bad. The first film ain't
bad. It's like literally in the top three for me.
The first no, it's not top three for me.
Oh, 100% Force Awakens.
Revenge
It's superb.
Empire, Star Wars, and Revenge of the Sith are all better movies for me. Return of the Jedi, then seven was good because it introduced people back to Star Wars and introduced a new. I've actually got no problem with 7. I have a problem with 8 and 9.
I could go back to a podcast episode we done before 9 come out, and you loved 8.
I did, but how many times?
Hypocrite.
No, I'm not a hypocrite because I watched 9 and then I watched how everything was dealt with, and I think
that's not 8's fault.
I do take. You've got a fault
that Rian Johnson played totally different. It's more Abrahams didn't like the way it went, so he went back to saying ridiculous. So you can't blame 8. 9. I understand where you're going with it because 9 he goes off on such a different tangent that we know nothing about. Okay. Apart from a little bit of canon in there, we know nothing about it. I understand that, but they're not bad single films. Yes, as a trilogy, they are not very good. We know that, but as films, they are not bad films.
They're not bad main movies, but I don't think 9's a good movie. I don't think 9.
I think 9 is its own film's cracking, brilliant film.
I'd rather watch Phantom Menace.
Tell me there was bits in that film that you did not enjoy because we watched it together.
Yeah, there's bits I enjoy, but I would rather watch Phantom Menace.
But do you know what?
That's a lie. That's an absolute lie.
Right, I'm gonna play. Right, both of you. I'll mute you both. I have that power. Right. Just from a different perspective. Now, I love Star Wars, and probably not as much as you used to because I haven't got the passion for it as you guys have. Right. So for me, it's a little bit more like most of the time I take it as I see it. I've learned a lot of the lore purely because since being able to have Disney Plus and have the ability to watch all this extra universe stuff, it's made a lot more things make sense to me. Now, I'm living with somebody who has never seen these movies until recently. Now, we've only got one film left out of all of them. Now, she's seen all of them in the last 3 months with fresh eyes, not had a clue about any of it. Right? She watched the sequel trilogy first because the reason being is because she said, can you put me something on that is likely to have the best effects? I was like, okay. So I put the sequel trilogy on first. She really, really grew attached to those characters, and she really liked Kylo Ren.
Oh, Kylo Ren's the best.
And she really liked Rey and Finn. Right? Now, I then showed her the prequel trilogy and then put them in order. So the things that she asked me questions about, I could say, look, all of this stuff that's coming would answer all the questions you had for me in the last films. And she enjoyed the prequels. She thought that the A New Hope was the best one out of better than the prequel films.
Yeah,
she enjoyed the prequel. Thought New Hope was better than the prequels.
Empire,
but she didn't really like Empire that much. Now that's a very unpopular opinion, and I think the reason why she didn't like Empire as much is because it's the story of Empire is kind of, he's learning their trade. They get split up. There's a lot of bickering with Han and Leia.
Empire is mainly a love story between Han and Leia.
Well, it's developing, and it's kind of like, and she was just like, but what are they doing? She weren't getting attached to them. She wasn't getting attached to them characters. She wasn't rooting for them. Whereas, where she hasn't seen the next one yet, So Return of the Jedi will be a big. Once that's finished, I'll get her insight on all that. But if she was to pick a trilogy, it'd be the last one.
Really?
And I think a lot of people that start Star Wars now will pick the last one because, as you say, it's new characters, it's a new thing, and it'll get attached. Steph's the same. Steph loves the sequel trilogy, but I made Steph watch it prequel, original,
yeah,
and then obviously the new one's coming out. So her initial questions to me was, I don't understand where's Luke and Leia, because they're the names you originally hear of. So it took her a while to understand.
A lot of people do go original, prequel, sequel, don't they?
Yeah, the only reason I've done that with Steph is because I just wanted, like, if you do that, you have to really get your head around, right, I'm now going back.
I'm
going right back.
The other order that a lot of people do, which I find very odd, I've never done it myself, is they go 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. Which I'm like,
it's to get back to backstory.
It goes back and tells you why.
Yeah,
Anakin,
I find that weird. But I get why they do it.
Far too much.
Talking about Rey,
an hour and 40 minutes.
The other issue I have with Rey is she's a Mary Sue. They overpower Rey. They shouldn't have made Rey as powerful as they did. That's my biggest issue with the original, with Force Awakens, by the way, is Rey. But
I agree. I do agree, but I think you're a twat.
No, and Phantom Menace is a better movie than Rise of Skywalker.
We're going to call it a day now. Look, I love talking Star Wars and Marvel with you. Obviously, we'll talk a lot more about it in the coming months as well, and I'm sure there'll be a lot more rows coming, and we'll discuss it at a further and more in-depth thing the more we see, with especially Star Wars, because canon of Star Wars is only going to get bigger and bigger now.
We've kind of got a break though for about 10 months until the Boba Fett show, so we're going to be on a whole Marvel hype for about 10 months, and then it's going to be Star.
In that time, we get the rest of WandaVision, we get Loki, Falcon and Winter Soldier. I believe Doctor Strange is in there as well. There's a few things coming up.
Eternals comes out. We get what's it called? Black Widow.
We've got a lot of stuff.
Yeah, so there's a lot to go on before we really get into Star Wars again, but we won't just dismiss Star Wars as a whole.
Any news that comes out, we'll cover it. Yeah. Jamie, you've got a good song to go out to, I believe.
So before you say that, just guys that are obviously watching the YouTube video, obviously everything's at the bottom: Twitter, YouTube, or on Instagram as well. So please follow us on those. For the guys that listen on the podcast, we are at the Mouse News Pals on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. Obviously, James and Steve join us as well from Jurassic Unicast, so please go follow them as well. And if you see us, please talk to us. We're going to go live again next week, so we will let you know what time we will be live. I believe it will be Thursday next week, so we'll let you know the time we're going live, and then hopefully we'll get more people to come join us again. I know I spoke to Tori after last week's episode. She said it was great to actually put names to faces, and she really enjoyed the sort of 20 minutes that she watched. She called Jamie a name, but I won't say it on a...
Did she say James was the handsome one?
No.
No, she said you're a midget.
No. She said, I understand now why that James talks a load of rubbish. Cheers, guys. Thanks for listening.
I didn't talk to her, but she did think you're a weirdo for not liking Coco.
True, but there you go. That's that. Good episode.
To end the show.